It is a shame for a man to grow old, without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable.
So what is an aesthetic physique? In my opinion, aesthetic physique isn't looking like one of those mass monsters, roid heads, or even a literal truck. It's more along the lines of looking like those superheroes we admired growing up as kids, such as Spider-Man, or looking like those Greek statues that you see everywhere on the internet. For years now, I've experimented with different training styles such as calisthenics, weightlifting, powerlifting, even martial arts, as well as different diets such as if it fits your macros, clean eating, and even dirty bulking. After years of self-experimentation, I have officially found the blueprint to getting an aesthetic physique, and it's much simpler than you think. There are only really a few things you need to do to develop an aesthetic physique, so I'll teach you exactly how you can get there as quick as possible, because you don't want to waste any time, right? So before I start, my name is Iyadharichi and this has been my journey. I started off as a very skinny kid, as I used to swim for about 6 times a week for an average of an hour and a half. But thankfully I had a pretty good base to start off with. I then went through what most young people had to go through at this age and got rushed and had chicken nuggets thrown at me. The next day I thought it was time to put on a bit more muscle so I can be a bit stronger and, look a bit more attractive. And calisthenics is what I chose as my starting point. I also thought calisthenics was pretty cool. So I did calisthenics for a few months, mainly learning off YouTubers such as Chris Harrier and a guy called Austin Dunham before he did Red Pill and used to only do calisthenics videos. Things started going well and I managed to develop a bit of muscle through the basics of push-ups and pull-ups whilst completely skipping legs, like an idiot. I then randomly decided to stop working out for a while and lost my gains. So maybe a year later, lockdown came about and I managed to lock in for a good year and managed to make some significant progress in my training. I learned how to do handstand push-ups, muscle ups, the levers, and however, once again, I did skip legs like an idiot. I then joined university and I didn't stop working out. However, I did become slightly inconsistent and honestly, my diet was absolutely disgusting. And I turned into this. So when that university year finished, I went back home, removed myself from that toxic environment and locked in. I managed to lose all of the fat, fixed my mental health, removed all my bad habits and started eating clean, which led me to looking like this. However, I became interested in learning martial arts, so I decided to stop doing calisthenics and weightlifting and dedicated my time to MMA and Muay Thai for a year and a half. Which honestly was an amazing experience as it allowed me to maintain a low body fat percentage year round and develop mental strength and discipline. Right now I'm taking a break to focus on my physique and building up a strong, functional body. That's a very quick overview of my fitness journey, so let's get into how you can become aesthetic in a fraction of the time. So we'll first go into all the attributes you need to develop an aesthetic physique, as well as how to get them, and then we'll go over which order you need to go through in order to get it depending on your current body type. So please do me a favor, firstly grab a notebook, pen, notes app, Notion, whatever you want. We're going to go through this in quite a bit of detail, so if you have no knowledge of fitness whatsoever, it's time to write this down. So in order to get an aesthetic physique, the first thing you need to do is build a base amount of muscle. The way you'll go about building this muscle is through resistance training and progressive overload. This can be done through calisthenics or weightlifting. Both will get you to the same place if you do them the right way. More importantly, you want to build muscles that are seen as more aesthetic and give you more of the aesthetic look, such as the abs, back and shoulders, chest, and legs. Obviously, do not neglect your arms. So unfortunately, most people don't really give good advice on how to build your abs, as they always say abs are built in the kitchen, which is true. You do need to be lean enough to see your abs, but if you really want them to pop, you got to work them out just like every other muscle. So I recommend you train them in 2 ways. One of the ways is through direct stimulus. This could be done through crunches, leg raises, knee raises, and so on. And you don't really need too many complicated exercises to start off with, but later on you will need to add more reps, more sets, more weights to these exercises to make them harder. Try to mainly focus on your lower abs, as these do tend to be quite underdeveloped compared to your upper 4. Another way you can train your abs is through functional movement. This isn't necessary, but it's more of an optional thing if you want like a functional body. And this can be done through learning calisthenic skills or doing things such as rock climbing or gymnastics. But it's usually also why you see calisthenics athletes having those big blocky abs like you see on those YouTube videos or Instagram compilations. Next, your back. You're going to want to do exercises such as pull-ups, or if you can't do pull-ups, some sort of assisted pull-up using bands or the machines. You could also use the lat pull-down machine if you're too weak to do pull-ups or assisted pull-ups, but honestly, pull-ups are the best back exercise, especially if you can do them weighted. Those are all of your vertical pulling movements. Next, you'll want to incorporate some sort of horizontal pulling movements, such as the barbell row, the seated cable row, the chest assisted row, Australian pull-ups, and tuck lever rows. For your chest, you're going to want to focus on heavy pushing movements, such as the bench press with the bar or with dumbbells. You could do push-ups with weight or without weight, and dip variations with or without weight. I'd say if your full focus is aesthetics, try to focus more on the incline movements, such as the incline dumbbell bench or the incline bench press. If you're looking for a calisthenics variation, you could also do decline push-ups. Once you start to advance and you can handle a bit more volume, try to add exercises such as the pec fly or the ring pec fly, as these will help fill out your chest a bit more. Next up is your shoulders, also known as the delts. So these are comprised of 3 heads: the front delt, lateral delt, and the rear delt. So for the front delt, pushing movements are already enough, such as the bench press, incline bench press, and so on. However, if you really want to hit that front delt, you can do any sort of overhead pressing movement, such as the pike push-up, handstand push-up, or military press, overhead press. Any sort of overhead pressing movement will be amazing. So next up is the lateral head of the delt. This is arguably one of the most important out of the 3, especially for that V-taper look. To hit this muscle effectively, you'll want to do any sort of lateral raise. This could be using dumbbells, cables, or even the machine. Overall, I'd recommend pairing the front delt and the lateral head of the delt with your pushing movements. Next up is the rear delt. A very, very underrated muscle, and one that is neglected and looked over quite often. The rear delt is quite easy to hit. You can do any sort of reverse machine fly or reverse cable fly, or you could even use a dumbbell reverse fly too. I'd combine your rear delt with pulling days, as it just kind of makes sense, as your rear delt is also hit during the horizontal pulling movements. So the main goal of having an aesthetic physique is to have a perfectly balanced body. So as well as hitting exercises that make you have a V-taper, try to imagine your body as an X shape. So you'll also want to hit legs. Please don't be an idiot like me and skip leg day for a very, very long time. You can effectively hit your legs using heavy compound movements such as the squat with a barbell or a hack squat. They both work very well. You can also isolate certain groups with the leg extension for the quads, RDLs and leg curl variations for the hamstrings, and weighted calf raises. You can also do plyometrics if you're at home, combined with other bodyweight leg movements such as the pistol squat, Nordic curls, one-legged RDLs, and bodyweight calf raises. Once again, please do not skip legs. Otherwise you'll be like me and regret it later. There are quite a few splits you can play around with depending on your activity level, how busy you are, your schedule. But the main ones would probably be a 3 or 6 day push-pull leg split, a 4-day upper-lower split, or a 3-day full body split. As long as you try to hit each muscle group twice a week, you should be fine. So once you pick your split, try to hit those heavy compounds at the beginning of your workout, or those muscles that you want to prioritize the most at the beginning. This is because you have more energy at the beginning, so you can work these muscles more effectively. You want to make sure you stick within the 8 to 12 rep range. This is the most optimal rep range for building muscle. However, if you want to gamify your workouts a little bit and you want to have a bit more fun with the heavy movements such as the bench press, you can go within the 5 to 10 rep range to make things a bit more interesting. However, this will bias your strength more, which is still okay because with strength comes more muscle. One big mistake that people make is that when they do the reps between 8 to 12, they won't push themselves because they think, oh yeah, 8 to 12 reps is the range for building muscle. No, you want to fail within 8 to 12 reps. Firstly, pick a weight that you can do 8 reps with. So you fail at 8 reps and then build your way up to doing 12 reps. And then once you can do 12 reps and fail at around 12 reps, increase the weight and start at 8 again. And then start making your way up back to 12. And then just increase and repeat and repeat and repeat. One thing that's really worked for me over the years is including drop sets in the last set of your heavy compound movement. For example, I'll do a heavy bench press and then cut the weight down slightly on my last set and then just do a few more reps, really feel the blood and the muscle fibers really working during that last set. And then I'll even do more and do push-ups afterwards. However, during my smaller muscle groups such as my delts and my bicep, I'll pick 2 weights, so one heavier one, one lighter one, and I'll do a drop set for every set. So to summarize everything, first pick a split, choose your exercises within a rep range of 8 to 12, and then push yourself each session by gamifying your workouts and incorporating drop sets. So the next important step is to make sure you're lean. You can get lean through diet and cardio, or just diet alone. However, you will be neglecting your cardiovascular health, which is very important for recovery and for overall health and fitness. Also, you can eat a little bit more whilst you do cardio, which is nice as well if you like to eat, like me. Try to experiment with different forms of cardio 2 to 3 times a week to see which you find the most fun. You could run, skip or cycle, but if you can, do a sport as they're way more fun. Next up is your diet. Personally, I recommend eating clean and eating healthy as a lifestyle rather than doing some bullshit diet that only lasts for 2 weeks. Overall, try to cut out as many processed foods as you can. and try to eat clean, whole foods, as they are generally quite nutritious, quite satiating, and just in general better for you, as they're full of antioxidants, vitamins, nutrients, you know, all of that good stuff. They also give you more energy throughout the day, which means you can hit your workout slightly harder compared to before. But really do try to limit your processed foods, as they are not good for you. Try to eat whole foods, as they are better for you. Quite simple. So there are 3 different types of macronutrients you can eat: proteins, fats, and carbs. For proteins, I'd recommend eating foods such as eggs, beef, chicken thighs, chicken or beef liver, salmon if you can afford it, Greek yogurt. Try to eat approximately 1 gram per pound of body weight, as this will help your recovery and muscle protein synthesis. Anyway, next up is your carbs. For carbs, try to eat foods such as sweet potatoes, vegetables in general, fruits such as kiwis, blueberries, dates, and bananas, and if you want to, rice and pasta. Next up is your fats. Try to eat foods such as avocados, olive oil, butter, nuts, dark chocolate, cheese, and to be honest, the foods I've mentioned in the proteins are quite high in fat anyway, so this should be enough. Do not forget that your rest is just as important as your training. So make sure you're eating enough food, eating enough protein, you're sleeping approximately 8 hours a night. Do these things and you'll be well on your way to building an aesthetic physique. Once you've established your program and your diet, what you'll want to do next is assess where you're starting from, whether you're skinny, fat, or skinny fat. But before I get into that, everyone will have different starting points and different journeys altogether. And try to remember that your goal is to reach your fullest potential, not to compare yourself to other people online. As most people on the internet are either juiced up, in perfect lighting, or they have a pump in every single video. At the end of the day, we all want to feel just as good as we feel on the inside as we look on the outside. Use this time as time to reflect and heal and grow. At the end of the day, you're trying to become the best version of yourself internally and externally. Please remember that. So back to the main point of the video. If you're an average skinny person, you want to make sure you're in a calorie surplus or in a lean bulk. The way you want to do that is to use a TDEE calculator, find out your approximate maintenance level of calories, eat in a 200 to 300 calorie surplus, and track this using MyFitnessPal. Try to weigh yourself every 2 days and get an approximate value for the week. And if you're not gaining weight in about 2 weeks, increase the calories a little bit. Or make sure that you're actually eating in a consistent surplus. Try not to gain more than 1 kilogram per week or 2 pounds per week. Trust me. Also, keep in mind, if you're doing any sort of cardio or playing sports throughout the week, you will have to eat more. If you're skinny fat, you're going to want to make sure you're prioritizing building muscle and strength, as well as losing that excess body fat that's preventing you from revealing your physique. You're going to want to make sure you're eating in a slight caloric deficit of around 300 to 500 calories. To get your value of calories, you'll once again have to go on TDEE calculator, calculate your calories, use MyFitnessPal to track it, and make sure you're losing a little bit of weight per week. However, if the scale doesn't go down as quick, it could be because you're building muscle at the same time. But overall, throughout the 2-week period or during the month, you want to see the scale going down just a bit, or make sure the scale is going down, but it doesn't have to be at a crazy rate. As long as you're training correctly and you're eating correctly, your physique should slowly transform over time. Now, if you're overweight or you can class yourself as fat, make sure you're actually losing weight. Your first priority is to lose the excess body fat, especially if you want that aesthetic look, you know? So once again, just like the people who are skinny fat, make sure you're eating in a 500 calorie deficit, you're hitting your cardio days. Just really try not to focus on restricting your calories too much. Because if you do that, you'll be missing out on vital vitamins and nutrients and minerals. And this will therefore decrease your energy levels, make it harder to train, and overall make it harder to lose that weight. But once again, try not to focus on overly restricting your calories. Stick to that 500 calorie deficit. Include healthy habits such as walking 10k steps a day, doing a bit of cardio throughout the week, and eating healthier as a lifestyle. Including healthy habits throughout the day will make sure when you lose the fat, you won't gain it back again, because you've already implemented these healthy habits which are sustainable and long term. And once again, please remember, your main goal at the end of the day should be to become the healthiest and best version of yourself. I know overall your goal is to look, really good and aesthetic, but use that as motivation to become a healthier version of yourself, because being healthy will lead to you being aesthetic. especially if you train in the right way. So those are the exact steps you need to take to get an aesthetic physique. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. My name is Iyadharichi, by the way. It's been a pleasure to meet you.